James Mathers for the Digital Cinema Society at NAB 2026. I'm here with my friend Gary Adcock. He's representing Cartoni, and Cartoni, they're not just into tripods and camera support, they're into the latest technology, and Gary's going to tell us about it.
Thanks, Jim. It's really fun because now we're embracing augmented reality and virtual reality graphics. What we're showing here at the show this year is actually an encoded JIB that is paired with a Sony PTZ camera, and we're using a new SMPTE protocol that's an open source protocol called OpenTrack.io. We're one of the initial signatories on the system, and we're showing the simplicity of how augmented reality can be done for modern small production studios. We have a JIB with a Sony PTZ camera, and we're outputting through an application called Ximetry on top of Unreal Engine. But we've designed a system that makes it viable for small production facilities, small studios, independent television producers, anybody who needs that kind of data for delivery. And think about the nature of how augmented reality graphics are becoming much more popular. Whether you're watching sports or television, I mean, Spectrum just signed a deal for 200 augmented reality presentations in basketball games on the East Coast. So there's much going on in the industry, how we're increasing that. And Cartoni, and in association with RIGFX, Moroxi's company in Europe, they've designed a system that actually allows us to communicate in a way where we can talk to virtual engines, graphic engines, or whatever we need to. So
you're putting things in the frame here that I don't actually see in reality.
That's what augmented reality is all about. We're making things that don't exist in the real world happen. And it's a very cutting edge technology because you have to build the graphics ahead of time, whether you work in Blender or After Effects or anything else. You have the capability to build graphics and then show them in an augmented reality space. I mean, you can see on the floor underneath us, there's a box that has markers on it. And we actually use that as a key point to show people where to stand and everything else as part of the process. But it's one of those things that right now in virtual production spaces or augmented reality spaces, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of base cost to do production. This system from end to end, counting the computer and the Sony PTZ camera and everything, is around 60,000 US dollars, which is an incredibly cost-effective price. And it makes it viable for schools, for all kinds of applications that we don't think about normally that want to get into the next generation of graphics.
Show me how the hardware works.
Sure. We're here with the e-JibO, and it's an entire system from the PTZ camera through RIGFX, which is the little box here, that integrates the data from the JIB itself. So this JIB reads pan and tilt data, and the device actually translates into positional data so that we can see it in a virtual space. So that's why you're seeing it. And the cool part about it is we actually have all of this controlled and balanced on a system that allows us to create graphics on television. So here you see, this is the operator view of the JIB, and here's a Stream Deck control that has multiple different devices in it. I can actually turn things on and off, the moon, the Cartoni logo, and it's a great way to be able to have the Stream Deck do that motion for us. One of the advanced features of it is actually turn on camera tracking. And you see camera tracking, it'll lock in a second, and it sees a face, and it then will follow that person. So if you're working in a broadcast facility and the talent wants to do a walk and talk, it'll actually track them while they're moving, and it'll maintain them as I go. So we can actually pull up screen graphics too. If I want to come up, so last year was Cartoni's 90th year in the business, the oldest independent camera accessory company in the world, and it's nice to be able to work with somebody who does those kinds of things. So it's a complete end-to-end system. And my friend over here is working on the laptop right now that's driving all of this. So you can actually see the JIB working in real time. And this is just the raw tracking data that's actually allowing us to talk to Unreal Engine and Ximetry. And this is the key behind all of it, is having this advanced tracking technology. We're using the RIGFX box, and RIGFX actually allows support with Cook/I data, Zeiss extended data, and the traditional broadcast data, the cooler data that comes out of traditional broadcast lenses is all supported here. And that's actually really important. We're not showing it on a tracked dolly, but we also have a tracked system for it, so you can move around, simply around the studio. But it's pretty interesting to be able to have this level of granularity in the process, to be able to see and understand where the data is, where it's coming from, and where it's going. This is not done on a major mainframe. This is all being run from a standard off-the-shelf laptop. which kind of is pretty incredible when you think about augmented reality graphics, Unreal Engine. Everybody thinks it has to be massive computing power. It doesn't if you understand what you're doing. And to work with RIGFX and Cartoni has been really fabulous. And we're working, like I said, as part of the SMPTE OpenTrack.io forum. So it's a number of manufacturers working on a unified code base that's free, open source. Free and open source.
Now these encoded heads will all work with this system.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, and this is, we have a JIB system. We also have 3 other size heads that work rather as conventional heads with encoders in them. So if you don't need to have the encoders, the head still works, which is kind of a viable system for a lot of people. But we use the technologies on every sports stadium. It's in all the places where you think of. Line markers, graphics for basketball and things like that are all generated by encoded systems. And now that we have a different way to do this, small production companies need this too. And you've had a number of sessions over the course of DSC talking about virtual production and everything else. This is now taking it to a smaller section that allows people to do it in multiple different places.
Wow, it's really interesting technology.
Thanks, Jim. It's really nice to have you here at NAB. So.